developed over time. Agricultural society in football. The agricultural society in football was really early and modern in Great Britain and Ireland. Medieval football in agricultural society had a wide variety and was very localised with mainly played in Europe. Medieval football also got a huge rise in popularity, which just meant that more people took an interest and made the game more fun to play in the medieval times. Showtime football was popular before this ever came around, when our medieval football was around. But before this even came around, there was a game called Kuju, which was based 300 before BC in China. Effect on Industrial Revolution. The effect on the Industrial Revolution on football was that the law came in about factories saying that workers were not allowed to work more than a certain amount of hours, which this meant there was more time spare to play football or do all the sports, or to keep yourself occupied. The changes happened in the 19th century because people were being abused in the 18th century because they was being forced to work 80 hours a week, which this meant they had no time to watch sport or participate in it. Influence of public schools. The influence that public schools gave football was that some of the people wanted to kick the ball, but some of the people wanted to hand the ball with their hands and to throw and catch it, which basically means two different games was formed: football and rugby. Rugby was the most popular game and went on to be transformed into American football when it went over to America. Public schools also thought of rules for the game, but the first rules was formed in football in Cambridge University in 1848. Rationalisation and regulation. The rationalisation of football was a decisive moment because all the clubs that were in existence all attended meetings at Freemasons Tavern, which I've got a picture of here. Yeah, which is located at Queen Street in London. Also, this is where the Football Association was formed. Furthermore, in the meetings that they had was where they was making codes of conduct in the game, and then they went on to be inflicted on the game. The first match to ever be played where the rules was inflicted on was Sheffield versus Nottingham. And I've got Sheffield's first ever badge here, and I've got probably the oldest one I can find in Notts County. The 20th century. The impact of the 20th century had on sport was that when sport became more popular, more people wanted to do it, which just meant that more space had to be needed to do more sporty things from football or other sports what you could do in them days. Furthermore, in the 20th century there was better working conditions, which just meant that the workers were allowed to go and play sports or activities. Meanwhile, the World War took place in 1948 and then again in 1939. Well, 1939 to 1945, which just meant all the men had to go and fight in the war, which just therefore meant the women had to find a way to occupy themselves, so football became more popular for them. Department of Culture. This Department of Culture in the United Kingdom, in government. The Department of Culture had responsibilities that had to manage the tourism, leisure and creative industries. In 2012 they had to run the Olympics and the Paralympics Games, which was a big responsibility because they had to manage every nation that took part in the games. Central Council for Physical Recreation. The Central Council for Physical Recreation are in charge of how long physical education should be done when it is being taught by schools or any other college or things. The Physical Recreation are representatives of the National Sports Organisation in the UK, and they are also to promote, protect and encourage more people to do sports in the UK. UK Sport. The UK Sport is a new organisation and was formed in the 20th century 18 years ago in 1997. The purpose that the UK Sport had was to develop sport in the UK and get more people to do sport and activities to get healthy. The UK Sport are in cooperation for the Central Council for Physical Recreation and others, and they work with the Central Council for Physical Recreation. and to get sport a bigger thing in the UK. Also, the lottery started to fund the UK sport, which this was done in 1994. Sport England. Sport England is the brand name for the English Sports Council and is a non-departmental body because they are under the influence of the Department of Culture and Media and Sport. Sport England has a big role to play to develop sport because they are working alongside the national governing bodies and sport and other partners to grow a number of people doing sport. The national governing bodies. The national governing bodies are a wide variety of organisations and they have specific things to do in sport. The main national governing body in Football Association is the FA, which is the Football Association. They are in charge of every team that has been made to play football, and they are also to sort out every league that is around the world. Another is UEFA. Their main role is to manage the main prize, which is the UEFA Champions League, which is up for grabs by the top teams in all the divisions around the world. But they have to basically make sure that no two teams from the same league are in the actual same league for the UEFA Champions League. They've got to make sure they're in different leagues. Got some other organisations, which is PFA, LMA, Premier League, Football League, and the WSL. The PFA, Professional Football Association. This association manages the professional footballers in the world and was made in 1907. LMA, League Managers Association. The association has to manage all the managers in the world and was formed in 1992. Premier League. The Premier League is one of the world's most important leagues because this is the league that all the best top teams in England, Wales was formed in 1992 on the 20th of February. Football League. The Football League was formed in 1888 and was the first ever league formed and now contains all the other teams in England and Wales, which consists of 72 teams. WSL. The Women's Super League was formed in 2010 and there was 2 leagues and they now contain all the women's teams in the UK. Images of governing bodies. As I've got, obviously I've got the FA, Premier League, Empire League, UEFA Champions League. I've got here, which is, I think, if I'm correct, this is PFA, Professional Football Association, the LMA, League Managers Association, and the FA Women's Super League, WSL. Thank you for watching.